Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We love having you here, and it's our mission to bring you all the latest and greatest tips, skills, and know-how to make you the best that you can be. We know that you have it in you, and we're going to show you how. Now, let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Rethink Everything, where we will rock your world and rock your mind. We're your hosts, Jillian, Willie, and
Dr. Matt Singer.
And today we're going to be talking about why do we give a shit about other people's opinions?
So I got a great story for you. I just want to start the podcast off with this. So, all right. So dealing with a patient comes in, and I remember this woman, she was angry. I mean, she walks into my office with like a scoured look on her face, angry. I mean, even the other patients and the girls who work with me, they're like, wow, this woman's angry. So I started talking with her, and I asked her what's going on. She's like, I've had leg pain for how long? 15 years. And she gets in my face, and nobody can help me. No one. And she's declaring it. No one can help me. So I'm thinking to myself, well, as long as you keep declaring it, you're not going to improve it at all. So I said, okay, so tell me, you said the pain started 15 years ago. What happened 15 years ago? Now, as I'm intuitively listening, you know how we can hear it. So I'm listening to this woman's higher self talking to me, and it's saying, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I can't. So she's saying, well, my knee, and it was clicking and this and that. Once she finishes talking, I said to her, okay, there's a lot of different reasons for pain, and you told me you've been to over 20 doctors for the pain. So obviously it's not a structural problem. She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, physical pain is only one part of it. I said, there's nutritional. Tell me about your diet. I have my own garden, and I only eat vegetables and fruit. So I said, okay, so I know it's not nutrition. So the third component is going to be emotional. What do you mean emotional? So I said, well, I keep hearing from your higher self, I can't stand it. Is there something in your life that happened 15 years ago, and to this day, you're saying to yourself, I cannot stand it? And she stops, and she looks at me, right? And she starts crying. And in my mind, I'm like, I got you, motherfucker. But I'm like, no, come on, bring it out. Get real with me. So she's like, I can't stand it. I said, what can't you stand? She said, 15 years ago, my daughter told me she was a lesbian. And when I told my friends that, they disowned me, and they didn't want to spend any more time with me. Oh, I was like, oh, bring it on. I was like, so for 15 years, you couldn't stand the fact that you cared more about what your friends thought about you and your daughter than what you thought about your daughter. You let other people control you. Such bullshit. So let's start there.
I love that. And what I love about that is that it came down, it's very rarely what you on the surface think it is. Like, this woman spent the 15 years thinking truly that she just didn't like her daughter's choice of partner, when really, and maybe she didn't like it, but really her issue was with how other people perceived her. Because and I don't know what happened thereafter with this woman, but I'm guessing once she got over that, maybe there was some realization that no, she does accept her daughter more. I don't know, but I find this so much where when you get to the bottom of the issue, when you actually talk through it, you realize what you thought was your problem is actually not your problem.
Exactly. So check this out. So here's how it goes. So I said exactly what you just said. I got her to realize that she was giving all of her energy away to her friends' opinions of her. Every single day of her life, she was letting her friend's opinion of her daughter that she unconditionally loves. She was letting her friend's opinion get in the way of her love for her daughter. And that was slowly killing her. So she, in my office, came to that realization. So she came into my office on a Tuesday. She came to that realization on a Tuesday. She came into my office with a cane. because she was hobbling and could barely walk. So I got her to release that. I got her to see the connection there. Then I got her to change her emotions about her daughter. And I got her to feel what her daughter must be going through, how hard it must have been for her daughter to tell her, and how happy it makes her daughter to be with somebody that she truly loves instead of putting an act on and being with someone that she doesn't want to be with. Because so many of us can do that. We can put an act on and be with the wrong person because our parents want us to be with someone. I've so many different ways. If you're a certain religion, be with the person who's this religion. If you're an ethnicity, if you live in a certain area, if you come from a certain upbringing, you must marry this type of person. We hear that all the time. So her daughter had the courage to actually be with the person that they love. Not that they're supposed to be with, but the person that they unconditionally love. So I said to the woman, so now your daughter is teaching you unconditional love. So now everything is a reflection. So I got the woman to unconditionally love herself through her daughter's actions. So once she saw that, she comes back in on Thursday without the cane and she goes, I have no more pain in my leg. I go, so what happened between Tuesday and today? She goes, I called my daughter. We had a great talk and I apologized for everything for the last 15 years. I let all of it go. And now she comes in my office pain free. And she's like, how did you do that? I said, I didn't do it. You did it.
I love it. I had a feeling that story was going to end in something like in some way like that. That's always how it is. Something else distracts us, and a lot of the time it is someone else, because we have grown up conditioned that it matters more what other people think about you, that other people can decide what's normal or how your life should be lived, or the people in your life how their lives should be lived. And it is so common, and then that manifests in our body as some kind of chronic illness or some kind of chronic pain because you never deal with it. Half the time you don't even know it's there. I love that story.
Yes.
I
So
actually go ahead.
yeah, sorry. So it makes me think about, for especially when we're dealing with people our age or younger children, even older people, in different phases in their life. No matter what age we are, we could still let other people's decisions or opinions affect us.
Yeah,
It's almost like this life lesson that we're choosing to to learn. It's like the soul says, I don't care about what somebody else is doing. I'm learning and experiencing who I am through that situation. But the ego says, no, I'm judging myself based on what this person's doing.
absolutely. It's that fight. Some people say it's like, that little, the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other kind of thing. Like, you have to have that contrast. And through the choices that we make, we either stray and show the ego that the ego can do this or make us think this, and we're going to go along with it, or we can side with our true self, which that soul self, the love within us, and make a choice that aligns more to who we are at that soul level. And then see the good things open up for us, and goodness and love just flowing to us. Excuse me. And I think that story alone is a beautiful example. And I see this all the time. We work with a lot of parents, but I see this a lot where the parent will come in and talk about the kid. And I hear this one a lot for younger children, where the parent will say, like, my kid, doesn't like going to school, and, talk to the kid, well, what kinds of things are happening at school. And a big one is that my friends are calling me ugly. Like, they're saying I'm, not smart, or I'm ugly, or I'm, fat, or, call me chubby, or whatever, all these things that kids are saying to each other. And then I'll ask them, like, well, are you ugly? Are you dumb? And the kids will say, well, no, I'm not. And I say, well, of course you're not. So why do we care? What does it matter if someone calls us a name? That's a reflection of them. And I think that's what we need to be teaching our kids, everybody. But this is why we care. We care because someone along the way told us that we're supposed to care. Or I know when I was growing up, my mom taught me, like, you don't say this to somebody because it's mean. You know what I mean? But even that has an implication of, well, that's bad then, where it really doesn't matter what people look like, what intelligence level they have, because we all have what we need inside of us to be. We have all the knowledge. We can be whoever we want. We can look like whatever we want. We just have to unlock it.
Yeah. And when I hear that story that where your mom would say to you, you don't say that because it's mean. So what would the master, what would the spiritual master say? I always think about that. Like if I'm in a situation, I think to myself, well, what would a spiritual master, how would they reply? So if we're told don't speak like this to somebody because it's mean, I think the spiritual master would say something like, any way in which I speak to someone is just a reflection of myself. If I tell someone that you're divinely beautiful and radiant, that means that that's who I am inside. If I tell someone that you're ugly, that means I have fear and hatred and worry and judgment in my heart. Because if I'm saying something that tries to separate that person from their highest self, that's actually how I feel about myself inside. And how amazing would it be to teach a child that at a young age,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. My kids are still little. But I tell them that all the time, just so it starts to go into that subconscious mind. Um, and I've heard, I mean, I've gone into classrooms and, tried to teach this material. And then I'll hear the kids, like they talk about it. And it's like they're always listening, they're soaking it up. When I teach something, go into a room, teach it, oftentimes I'll go back a couple times. And it's like I'm not really sure if they're really getting it, but then they can come up to me and tell me stories of how they've used it, or they can regurgitate the information. I
Yeah.
think that parents need to get on board too. They can't just hear it a couple times, but they are taking it in. Like kids are 100% capable of understanding and using this material just as much as they're capable of not using, of taking in the other messages that we're teaching kids. And it just comes from a place of not knowing it's there.
Yeah.
Or how it
You
works.
know, one of the things I think is so hard for parents. So I feel like parents go through a progression. Um, in the beginning, they desire to have children. They want to be parents, right? So some people go through a very hard time getting pregnant. Other people, it comes easy to them, but they have this desire to become a parent. And then right when they become a parent, right when the child's born, they immediately start judging themselves. My child is 20% under the weight scale. They're not at 100%, or my child is on the lowest percentile for growth. They immediately start judging themselves based on things. So they already start to establish a feeling as though they're not a good parent.
Where
And
they're
then,
awake all night. Yeah,
yeah,
I see
exactly.
that all the time. People, I saw the other day someone, they had a baby like a month ago or something, and they were touting how their baby was sleeping through the night 2 nights in a row. And it's like even stuff like that, like we feel a need to put that out there. Like, look what my baby did. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's such a stigma of babies don't sleep, and you know what I mean?
Yes. And then the worst thing that happens is, God forbid, they put that on Facebook or social media, and then you get 50 people commenting, well, it's your fault. You shouldn't be doing this and this and this. Like, who are they to say? Every child is different. Every situation is different. Children are soaking up energy. They are amazing. They're geniuses. And the big problem is when you step one is don't put it out on social media. Your business is your business. So, people are getting so messed up in the head because they're putting something out on social media, and then 50 people are commenting on them, and most of the comments are negative. Well, you're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. This should never happen. I can't believe this. Something wrong with you. And now they're caring about what people think. And now they're basing their self-worth on that. And they're holding all of their energy in on that. And then they wonder why they get sick.
Exactly, exactly.
Right?
I mean, I could go on. I mean, being a mom myself and having gone through this, and I mean, you're a dad, I could go on and on about this, but there's so much with what we are told, what we hear, what we see in movies and books, and everyone tells you like it's going to be so hard. You don't know what you're getting into. Get ready to say goodbye to your life, and you're never going to sleep again. You're never going to have a moment. And it's like all of these things, and we create it because I mean, I know this is a little off topic, but we create that. But then you're absolutely right. Like, I know when I had my first baby, things didn't go the way I wanted it to. And it started right from the moment he was born. I was ridiculed for not feeding my child. And it was like, well, I'm a new mom. And at the time I was trying to breastfeed and nobody came in to help me. And I was doing the best I could. And one nurse would tell me like, oh, it's fine. They don't eat a lot in the beginning, the first couple of days because they're sleeping all the time. And then they almost didn't let me leave the hospital because my baby didn't eat. And they shoved a bottle down his throat and I screamed crying. And they made me feel like a shit mom from the second I had the baby.
Right.
And it's
Exactly.
like, then it was, and then my second, it was so different. I had the support and then I didn't feel like a shit. I mean, I felt like a shit bomb for other reasons, but it's so true that we care so much about if I had just said like, I don't really care what you think. My baby's fine. I mean, he was fine. He's a perfectly healthy, smart child. He was fine. But if I hadn't let myself care so much about what this nurse, who I never saw again in my life, cared, I wouldn't have internalized that and things would have been different for me.
Right. And that's such a great metaphor for life. Most of the people who comment on social media, you've never even seen before in your life. Right? Most of the people that irritate us, we never see again. It's a one-hit wonder. Um, and we hold so much clout on something like that, where if I've never met this person before, but look at this. I've had people come up and say, look at this comment from this person. Like, do you know them? No. They're so-and-so's friend of a friend of a friend. And I'm like, and look what you're doing. You're letting yourself get so bent out of shape. And you don't even know this person. And then once they see it, they're like, you're right. Why do I even care about that? Right? To your point. Exactly. This nurse, you didn't know who the nurse was. You never saw her again, but we let stuff like that get in the way. When you know you own who you are, you know you're the best mom in the world. You know it, that's who you are. You're not what somebody else says you are. You're what you say you are. And
Exactly.
that's where the power is.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people go down that rabbit hole because then they take what other people say, they put it on themselves, they take on that identity, and then they align to it because that's what they feel, believe, that's what they're putting out there every single day until
Yes.
until we can finally wake up and make a choice to start talking differently and feeling differently and doing things differently. Like,
Yes.
absolutely. I think that's why there's so much pain and anxiety and depression and all of these different ailments, because a lot of it, because we're internalizing these identities that don't even have to be ours.
Exactly. Um, so, that's where I say to every parent that I've met or ones I haven't met who are listening, I'm going to tell you that you're the best parent in the world, and do not base your worth of a parent on somebody else. If it's your, don't base especially your parents. Our own parents can be our worst critics. You are the greatest parent in the world because you choose to be. That's who you are. You don't let anybody else tell you who you are. You're the best parent because you're the best parent. And it may not be the same as your parents did. It's not supposed to be the same. Because the laws of the universe says everything changes. We exist, the all is the one is all, what we put out is what we get back. And the fourth law is everything changes. So that means the way my parents raised me is going to be different from the way I raised my children. And it'll be different the way that they raise their children. It's supposed to be. That's how we evolve. But what my great great grandmother did has no bearing on what's going on now.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. At the end of the day, if you just love your kids, I mean, no one's gonna, harm their kids on purpose, right? So if you love your kids and you put out that love and your best foot forward, and this goes to anything, like not just parenthood, but yourself, love yourself, put your good intentions out there.
Hmm.
That's really what matters. I mean, we know intuitively what is best for us, what is best for our families, what is best.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. You already know it.
Mhm,
We come fully equipped and already knowing it. It's our job to remember.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to challenge everyone to tap into your greatness today, and think about all the good things that you've done, and think about truly who do you want to be, and who truly are you, and start being that person.
Amen. Right on, sister.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. We're so grateful for our viewers. You can find us at our website, exo-universe.com. We're in our Facebook group, Lead Your Legacy. And we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok at Exo Universe Healing, and on YouTube. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you.